Welcome to this week's episode of Hawk Talk. I'm Susanna Moberg, and you'll notice we are missing a key person with us today. Seth is in Louisiana on a work conference trip, and he's doing a lot of great stuff, doing a little bit of fun stuff too, and we're excited to hear about his trip. But until then, we have a first-timer on the show with us today, so why don't you introduce yourself, where you're from, and what you do here at DSU.
I'm Claire Schaffet. I'm a senior catcher from Woodland, California.
Sounds good. Can you tell us a little bit about your transition from California to North Dakota, or your journey? How did you get to DSU?
I just knew a few people here, and I actually didn't want to play softball anymore after my JUCO. And then I just met with Flurry, and it felt like the right fit. And this town is actually a lot like my hometown in California, so it wasn't very hard. I mean, it's a lot colder, but it wasn't too hard to transition.
Oh, cool. So you're starting the season, right? And you have had no home games, few home games, right?
Yeah.
You technically haven't had any home games yet. How has that affected the team so far this season?
Well, last year we only had one home series the whole entire season, so we're just kind of road warriors. We're used to doing it, so.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So we talked a little bit about this before, but in South Dakota, won 3 games, lost 1 game. Mm-hmm. Then you got back to North Dakota, had a few losses in a row. How has that, or how did that affect your attitude going into your Arizona trip?
We just kind of used that weekend, that bad weekend, as a wash. We know we didn't play our game. That wasn't us.
Yeah.
And then Arizona, it was just nice to get on the dirt, and we just kind of found ourselves as a team. So it was really nice to be out in the sun.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that trip to Arizona. You know, you had 7 wins, right?
Yeah.
A few games that were rained out. But just tell us a little bit about being in Arizona, playing there.
Oh, it's so nice just to be on the dirt and not be cold. It was actually a little chilly. My coach had her parka on for a good bit of it.
Wow.
Yeah. But we lost 4, but they were productive losses, if that makes sense. We have a lot to grow. We haven't hit our peak, so it's really nice that we're climbing the ladder right now.
Yeah, definitely. And leaving Arizona, seeing those wins and those productive losses, do you have a different attitude or a team attitude going into the conference games that you're going to start playing?
Well, Arizona's just kind of the place where you find your stride, you know, where you learn who you are as a team, and we really learned who we are. So now that when we start conference, there's no like guessing what we're going to do. We know who we are, and we're just weird, and we're going to win some games.
Yeah. I think it was, I was looking at the time you were down there, that schedule from when you were down there, and you had 3 rained out games, 3 or 4
games 2 days,
that got,
so 4.
Yeah, rained out. And so I saw you got to do some bonding stuff as a team down there. What kind of bonding things did you get to do?
Well, we started off our bonding with our little pal Concha here. So we call ourselves the dogs, and we're on the dog house. That's kind of like how we bond, and Concha is our rally dog. So if you guys want to follow us on Snapchat at BlueHawkSB, you can follow Concha's adventures through the season.
Awesome. The beginning of the season, we had Coach Flurry on the show after her 300th win.
Yeah.
What was it like for you to be a part of that for her?
So, celebrating Coach's 300th win, I actually sprained my ankle in the celebration. So that was a cool start, but it was really nice because I've really bonded with Coach. She's actually made me find the love for the game again, so I was super happy to be a part of her 300th win. That's so amazing for how young she is to have 300 wins.
That's really cool. And you're a senior this year.
Yes.
So looking back on your time at DSU, time playing softball other places, what is your favorite memory of softball?
Winning conference, that was huge because we were such a big underdog. No one believed in us, but I feel like it's kind of the same this year. No one really believes in us, but we have a solid team, so people better watch out.
Yeah. We asked everyone this question. This past year was our centennial year at DSU. So since you're a first-timer, we'll ask you as well. What does DSU mean to you?
DSU is kind of like home. It's, even though I'm so far from home, it's like I just feel home when I'm here. The bond that the athletes all have together, I love it here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for joining us on the show. Thank you for bringing the team dog. And we will be right back with an interview with the coach after this. Welcome back to Hawk Talk. We have a coach on the show with us today, so I'll have you introduce yourself, what you do here at DSU.
Thad O'Donnell. I am the head golf coach and also the chair of the hyper department.
You and the golf team just got back from a trip to Arizona. Can you tell us just a little bit about that trip, how it went?
Oh, it was, we were looking forward to getting out of here.
Yes.
And actually, we flew down with the softball team. We were all on the same flight. So that was kind of nice. Got down there, it kind of felt like home, actually. And I know everybody's going to go, yeah, right. But the wind was blowing about 30 miles an hour. The most, we've been going down for a few years, the most I've ever seen it blow.
Yeah.
And it was chilly, but it wasn't like chilly up here. But
yeah.
For Arizona, they all had coats and sweaters and everything else on. But we had a jacket and shorts on. Mm-hmm. So, then after the first day, it was high 60s, low 70s, no wind. So it was very nice. The golf was really, really good.
Good. You had a few meets or tournaments back in August and September and October, and then a big break, obviously, until March. So how was that for the team looking so far after that big break?
Yeah, having a split season has its benefits, and then it's also tough. The benefits are that you don't miss the same classes, because you're split between 2 semesters, and then also you have time to adjust between semesters or between seasons to whatever you need to work on. So in our what we call our off season in the winter, we were in the simulator at the rec center and hitting balls in there and working on things, waiting to be able to get on the course in the spring. So it's our best golf is usually in the fall because the falls up here are very nice.
Yeah.
So we try to get most of our season in the fall, and in the spring it's a coin toss on what's going to happen. So we're a lot like softball, baseball, where weather plays a huge factor in the spring. So our schedule is going to be penciled in, not inked in. So and right now we're looking at where we're going to be able to play, and we're actually in Dickinson, 9 out of 10 years, this is the first course open in the state of North Dakota. So we are the best hope for everybody in our region to be able to play. And then we were talking to Rapid City, the coach at South Dakota Tech, and I think between either there or here, we'll probably be the first ones open.
Yeah. You have a small team. You usually have a small team, but 6 girls, I believe, on the women's golf team. Half of them are seniors. Does that affect the atmosphere or the attitude of the team at all?
No, I think it's it's like every sport. I think you get that evolution of your team, and they become more and more familiar, and they know your quirks as a coach. They know the team. They know the travel procedure. So as a coach, it's not fun when they become seniors because now you're going to start that process all over again. But I think it's huge in the recruiting aspect that we bring kids in and have them visit with our seniors, and then get feedback from the kids that are on our team. You meet a student athlete for a couple hours, and you talk to them on the phone 15 to 30 times. And you kind of get an idea, but sometimes everybody kind of puts up a front when they're talking to coaches. So it's sometimes hard to see what they're like, but our athletes are very good at, hey, this kid is going to fit in really well with your team. And so we use our seniors a lot in that aspect, and they're always wanting to give back. They want to leave it better than they came in. And so it's bittersweet having that many seniors on the women's side.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about this, but up until a few days ago, it was still very clearly winter in North Dakota, and that's your off season, is during that winter time. So you said you use the simulator at the community center. Is there anything else that you do during that time to keep the girls ready?
The simulator it's not ideal, for it's obviously different than playing down south where they can play year round. But up here, that's the challenge of it. So when the simulator, there's a winter league that the rec center puts on. So all our teammates get together. Most of them match up, one guy and one girl. So then we get to play a little different than just playing with the men and the women playing. So then they play the people in the community. So it's really our team got to know a lot of the golfers
Yeah.
in the region or in the community just because of the league, and they get to know, and now those guys are asking how the Arizona trip was, so we get a little following that way. And that's been real good. And the rec center has been an awesome place. Especially the simulator. We've been trying to push for them to get another one.
Yeah.
It's booked out quite a ways, but that part of it is probably our best thing. You get that immediate feedback when you hit the ball, because it'll give you your launch angle, your swing path, your speed. It'll give you everything that you need to know when you're out hitting on the range. You hit the ball, and then you're watching the flight.
Yeah.
And this way in the simulator, it breaks down the numbers. So then all they need to know is the feedback of what should I be, what should my numbers be. So as a coach, it's a lot easier than out on the range. On the simulator, you can look at their attack and go, oh, you're coming in too shallow, or you're coming in too steep, and it gives you your swinging inside and out. So it's a lot of feedback, and so we used a lot of that time in the winter to really work on, everybody has different issues with their swing, and it's a time for them to really gain some confidence in their golf. And then we go out in Arizona and we play right away, and they played really well. I think our guys were all shooting mid 70s all the 4 rounds that we played. And I don't know if we've had that in the past. And the women were all in the 80s, and they've done really well. So yeah, we're excited. Hopefully we can get out and play a few times before conference. But that rec center, the simulator gave them a lot of confidence going into that meet.
So kind of a random, more fun question for you, but
they're all fun.
I like to think so. So I'm not a golfer, my dad's not a golfer, but my uncle is. So I hear from him and my aunt a few times about different courses that they play, things like that. So throw budget out the window. Is there one course in the country or in the world that you would like to take your team to, or that you yourself would like to go golf?
There's a lot of them out there. But I think everybody should play the original courses, the old course in Scotland. I mean, that was where golf was started. So that would be very good to go over there and play that. And actually, I went over, we took my dad over for his 60th birthday to Ireland, and we played some courses over there. So it's a whole different world of golf over there compared to over here. The courses are way different. They don't have a sprinkler head on their course. They don't, it's just naturally green all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Ireland would be, or Scotland would be the place if money was out the issue.
Yeah, money's not an issue.
Yeah, so that would be good.
Cool.
What'd your uncle say?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll have to ask him now that we did. I'll have to give him a call after this and see what he would say. I have a friend actually who's over in maybe England right now for spring break, and he was golfing, and someone posted, "Oh, I've always wanted to go there." So I thought, I wonder where you would go.
The old course, St. Andrews.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll have to add it to the
list.
To the list. Looking ahead then at the rest of your spring season, or kind of the start of your spring season, where are you and the team looking forward to going the most?
Yeah, well, we were going to go to Billings this weekend, which obviously we're not going. It got canceled just because of the snow. So basically our region coaches were on texting each other, calling each other, find out, all right, who can be open to try to get enough meets in before our conference qualifying tournament. So we'd like to get 2 meets. So obviously we want to host at home. And we're looking 7th and 8th of April, the 14th and 15th of April, someplace in there. South Dakota Tech, we're going to pick, since Billings canceled, we're going to go to South Dakota Tech for another one. And then our conference meet is in Omaha or Bellevue for our conference meet, which is our qualifier. So they really gear up for the conference to try to shoot their low score for the season down there.
And looking ahead, building up to those conference meets, what's your game plan kind of with your team to get the most out of those meets leading up to the conference?
Yeah, I think it's, golf is funny in that, you don't forget how to swing, you don't forget, how to hit a draw. It's just that mental approach. Some days you feel really good, some days you feel really bad. And be able to be mentally strong, and if you have a bad shot, to be able to recover as quickly as possible. And going to Arizona, we had some kids get frustrated, or if they didn't go exactly where they wanted, then they would get frustrated, and then all of a sudden you'd see that the next 2 holes they were over they didn't do what they wanted to do. And, so really just trying to get mentally tough and be able to understand that, you want to have acceptable error. We all become perfectionists in golf, and if it doesn't fly exactly and go exactly where you want, you become upset. And I tell guys, you either got to be really, really smart or really, really dumb to be a good golfer. Because if you're really dumb, you don't care. You just hit it, and then you forget about it, and you go to the next one. Really smart, you know exactly what that little thing that you did wrong, and you're able to make that adjustment. So most of our guys are in between there, so we work on going one way or the other. Yeah. So if you can forget about it, have an amnesia on a bad shot and come right back, and you watch pros, if you watch on Sunday, they're in the trees, they're in the water, but they're able to make that recovery very fast, where it might be a stroke difference that caused them rather than 2-hole difference.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us on the show today, Coach.
Thank you.
And we will be right back with a sports recap after this. Welcome back to the little recap portion of Hawk Talk. This past week was spring break, but there was still a lot going on campus and off campus, so I'll try and cover all of it in a few short minutes. Softball, we had Claire on the show today talking a little bit about their trip to Arizona. They won 7 games while they were down there, lost 4 games, and they rained out 4 games. But they start soon when they come back now, conference games, and this weekend in April, there are a good span of home games coming up, so we're looking forward to having them back home, getting to go watch their games and being a part of their success. Golf, we talked to Coach Thad on the show today. I was checking the roster, and there's no posted scores from their time in Arizona, but he was talking about they did pretty well down there, great experience for them to be out in the sun and away from the simulator at the community center, actually getting to play on a golf course. They were supposed to head to Montana State Billings this weekend for their first meet, but it got canceled due to weather because spring hasn't quite decided to come to all of the Midwest yet. But they're looking at rescheduling a few of those meets, maybe down in South Dakota. So we look forward to hearing a little bit more about them and how they do. The men's and women's track outdoor season starts this weekend. They head down to Spearfish, Black Hills State. And we know, well, I say we, it's just me today, but we know that they usually do pretty well down at the Spearfish meet. So we're looking forward to getting results back from that meet and hearing how their season starts out. I also was scrolling through Twitter this morning and I saw a little article that one of the men's runners, Ernie Franzen, qualified for nationals this past weekend in Jamestown with his marathon. He ran that in a time of 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 52 seconds. And I saw the picture of him, and it's him standing in front of a snowbank. So he ran, probably was a little cold, but he still qualified, and that's awesome. He joins, I believe there's 3 of them now qualified for nationals in their marathon time. So we look forward to seeing how they do at nationals. Football started their spring ball practices this past week on Tuesday, so we're excited to see how that goes. We talked to Coach Stanton a few weeks ago and a few players obviously last season and talking to Seth, but we're excited to see how that goes for them and hear results of their few home spring ball games that they get to play. I have a little flyer right here, but coming up this weekend on Saturday is the 8th annual Blue Hawk Booster Club Rendezvous event. That's a gun raffle and a dinner held to raise money for the athletic scholarships. So I'll give a little, you can call DSU Heritage Foundation for more information or to purchase your meal tickets for that event. And my last little bit of information, this past week and a half kind of, the art department took a group of students to Italy on a tour, and they got to go to museums and they got to do touristy things, just really enjoy Italy and Rome. I went to Amsterdam, I think they started, and got to go all over Italy, and they had a really great time. So for more information about that, one of the students on the trip, her name is Haley Ency. She's a student at DSU, creative writing major. She went on the trip and she wrote all about it, took lots of pictures, and you can check those posts out on the DSU Fine and Performing Arts Facebook page. And they're pretty cool to look at. I was scrolling through as they were gone, and it was pretty fun, absolutely beautiful. I'm really jealous that I didn't get to be a part of that, but maybe next time. I know looking ahead, we've got plenty more events coming up at DSU, but until then, Hawks are up.